So I'm Sian, a master research student, and I'm investigating soils of pavements and also looking at how they vary. So this is just going to be a very brief overview as I'm still in basically the starting stages of my research. I'm sort of in the starting, just beginning to work on my fieldwork stage. So yeah, I've only been able to do a couple of days of fieldwork so far, so I don't even have that to talk to you about. So just starting to provide a bit of background information for you. Really, there has been very little research into the soils of limestone pavements, and it really just presents the question of what is the soils that form there in the growth of these limestone pavements. So soil is formed through a range of factors, and it's important to establish an understanding for the formation factors constructing the soil within the growth. We have evidence that growth form in these cool, dark microclimates. There is the living organisms within the soil and the growths of the flora and the flora, growing from the soil and producing organic matter. There are topographical variations across limestone pavement areas, with the relief of bedrock remains relatively horizontal for some inclinations. But we don't know whether it's strongly influenced strongly or the organic or the inorganic, the parent material. The parent material is limestone and creates pockets of space within the karstic system for soils to develop as the bedrock continues to erode. There may even be glacial deposits from when the limestone pavements were formed. But one mystery that can only be addressed with future research is the timescale of soil development. We really don't know how old the soils that we find really are and the process that's taking place. Unfortunately, it's a bit beyond what I'm able to research at this stage. So really, the question is, first, we need to understand the key properties found within the soil and how might they vary across limestone pavement areas. What factors of soil formation might contribute to this? What we know so far about these soils, well, they're predominantly alkaline, they are loamy and have high levels of organic matter. But this has not really been compared across limestone pavement areas for understanding correlations and connectivities of the soil characteristics. My research aims to investigate the contributing factors of geological, geomorphological, and geographical variability whilst considering the abundance of vegetation within the growths, to assess soil development and variability across limestone pavement areas and analyse the soil properties for characterisation and connectivity. By focusing on intact open pavement, so that's pavement with no woodland and intact where you have clear grike structures. By focusing on this, the overall aim is to gain an understanding for the soils that form there and provide knowledge to assist with the conservation of limestone pavements. My fieldwork will cover 12 limestone pavement areas across northern England, and there will be 3 plots per area, producing a total of 36 box soil samples for laboratory analysis. So hopefully this gives a very wide scale of analyses of the soil across different limestone pavement areas that will really help us characterise, look at how they might change across the limestone pavement areas. During this field work, I will also undertake a grike characterisation from 10 sample points per plot. So this will be grike width, grike depth, grike orientation, the soil depth, and then that can be compared with the grike characteristics, and the vegetation presence, whether it's sparse or dense, whether it's low, medium, high, and whether there's rock fragments in fill, because the limestone erodes, it creates rock fragments, so it might be glacial deposits, might have till in there, and that could potentially influence the soil being developed. So this will then be used within the laboratory tests, which we're looking to do soil pH, soil texture, organic matter, plant available nitrogen, and ammonium. And this will be able to be characterising the soils and also compare with the other characteristics and look at a little bit of how they make and formed. Let's learn a little bit more about the soils themselves. So using linear correlation models, this will then assist in comparing the variability of soil across limestone pavement areas. To correlate growth characteristics of soil depth and analyse the soil properties to compare limestone pavement characteristics against the soil properties. With this research, there will be plans to undergo a second phase that will hopefully investigate my findings in more detail, but this will be as a result of my phase 1 data collection. So that is something to be determined. But yeah, as I say, that's all I got so far. So any questions? Thank you.
That's really interesting. I'm no geologist or soil scientist, right? But because in my site, for example, there's 2 different types of limestone, and they're right next to each other. They've been managed in a very similar way, but they have a different gist to them. So I'd be really interested to see what your results are. And also in your phase 2, if you haven't had capacity, do you know what would be really interesting is look at width arrow and compare the bits that were under forestry and the bits that weren't, because I'm intrigued to know how much and how long lasting the impact of that forestry thing.
Yeah, obviously the woodland aspect for the soil development is really interesting. But it's sort of something, because there's so many variables and we're very limited on time, we've sort of taken that out of the the equation, because it would be a lot of leaflets to consider, and the extent of the woodland, the age, and if there's been any sort of woodland, because obviously the woodland is changing all the time, this will also have an effect. So we've sort of taken the woodland aspects out of the variable to really understand the role the limestone pavement itself has on the soil development, and potentially then also the properties and how the diversity in species that are the more fragile, how they then respond to the soils themselves, and looking sort of without that factor of woodland. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah.
So do you know off the top of your head at all? I know obviously this is what the whole project is trying to determine, but apparently I'm impatient and I can't wait until next year. Obviously 12,000 years ago it was glacial till, and that all kind of got scraped and scoured and washed away.
Yeah.
But do you know, is there like a rough composition on what soils are? Do you know? Is it mainly like inorganic, like limestone debris, or?
Well, it's really a combination, but